Welcome to India Inside, the GCC Advantage.
We're your guides from the CoreBridge GCC Desk.
Our whole mission here is to help global and Indian leaders, really understand and capitalize on India's huge potential as the world's hub for global capability centers.
And this show is really your essential resource for what's happening on the ground. We look at the global business transformation being driven by India's GCC ecosystem.
Today, we are getting into a topic that has, it's completely redefined global operations.
We're talking about the future of work and India's hybrid GCC models.
That's right. The world after 2020. It didn't just normalize remote work. It structurally forced us to rethink everything, where, when, and how global value is actually created.
And what we're seeing is that India's GCC ecosystem has become this massive testing ground, probably the most successful one for building resilient distributed operations.
The scale of this change is it's hard to overstate. Before the pandemic, you'd think of a GCC and you'd picture a single huge campus.
Right. Centralized, concentrated in maybe one or two cities.
Yeah.
That was the model.
And this shift to hybrid, it wasn't just a temporary fix. It was a complete structural redefinition.
And you can see it globally, but India is really leading the pack in terms of execution and, sheer scale.
And for any CXOs listening, this is so much more than a real estate conversation. This is about competitive advantage. It's about business continuity, talent, innovation. We're excited to walk you through it.
And if you're getting value from this, please follow this show. It really helps.
Okay, so let's unpack this shift. The global data, it's pretty clear on this, right? Hybrid work is here to stay.
Oh, it's not even a question anymore. If you look at Deloitte's 2024 survey, a huge 78% of global enterprises.
78.
Yes. They now operate under some kind of structured hybrid model. That's the new global standard.
But India's role in this is what's really transformative. Given the scale, the demographics, India just became the biggest experiment for hybrid GCCs overnight.
And it was an experiment that absolutely paid off. NASSCOM's latest report from 2024 confirms it. Over 70% of Indian GCCs are now running partially remote or even fully hybrid setups.
So this wasn't a reluctant change. It quickly became a strategic choice.
A very deliberate strategic play to unlock new value.
When we talk to organizations and we break down the ROI on this, what are the key outcomes we're seeing?
Three things consistently come up. The first, and maybe the most obvious, is access to a much, much wider talent pool.
Right. You're suddenly looking beyond the big metro areas. You're looking into Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
Exactly. The second is capital efficiency. This is a big one. Companies using hybrid structures are seeing the real estate costs drop by 25 to 35%.
That's a massive saving in CapEx. It makes setting up or scaling a GCC just so much more attractive.
But let me push back a little on that. That's a great point. You save on CapEx, but what about the OpEx? The investment in technology and AI platforms, cybersecurity, doesn't that eat into the savings?
It's a fair question. And yes, of course, OpEx on tech goes up. But the net benefit is still there.
How so?
Because you're shifting your investment from a low-return fixed asset, like a building, to high-return tools for productivity and security. Plus, there's a third factor here.
Retention.
Flexibility improves it dramatically. Your workforce is stickier, and you cut down on the massive cost of churn that you always see in those centralized models.
So India's success with this model really comes down to a convergence of three pillars. We call it the triumvirate: talent, technology, and trust. Let's start with talent.
Okay, because the old GCC model, it was famous for these talent wars in just a handful of cities.
Right. Bengaluru, Hyderabad, everyone was fighting for the same people. Hybrid models basically solve that by unlocking whole new talent clusters.
We're talking about cities like Ahmedabad, Indore, Vadodara, Coimbatore.
Exactly. And our own CoreBridge Workforce Mobility Report for 2024 puts a hard number on this.
Oh, you do?
We do. Over 40% of new GCC hires in 2023 came from these Tier 2 locations.
40%. So that's not just some slow organic growth. That's a deliberate expansion of the talent pool.
Without building a single new skyscraper.
Which brings us to technology. This is really the glue holding it all together, isn't it?
It's the absolute linchpin. You have to think about the infrastructure you need for thousands of people to collaborate seamlessly.
Low latency, high speed.
Precisely. And India's aggressive 5G rollout, which now covers about 80% of the country, provides that exact backbone.
And on top of that, you have all these AI-enabled HR platforms for monitoring productivity, which are backed by government initiatives like Digital India.
Which ensures the tools are not just available, but reliable and fast.
Okay, so that leads to the third pillar, and maybe the trickiest one, trust and culture.
This is where it gets nuanced.
Because you can have all the tech and all the talent, but if your leadership mindset doesn't change, the whole model just falls apart.
This is the core insight, really. Leading distributed teams means you have to shift your management style. You move away from compliance and watching seat time
Right.
to focusing on mission alignment and outcome-based performance. For a CXO, it means you stop measuring office attendance and you start measuring contribution, innovation, product milestones.
It requires a whole new governance model.
Yeah.
And leaders who actually trust their teams to deliver no matter where they are.
And what makes India's adoption of this so successful so fast is the policy support.
You mean at the state level?
Exactly. While other global hubs might be stuck with old labor laws, India's states are actively, pushing for this decentralized growth.
So governments are essentially becoming partners in this. Which states are leading the way?
Well, Gujarat is setting a really high benchmark with its new GCC policy for 2025-2030.
And what's special about it?
They explicitly recognize distributed GCCs as an eligible investment model, and crucially, they offer OpEx reimbursement.
OpEx, so operational expenditure.
Yes, for things like cloud infrastructure and using co-working spaces.
That's incredibly strategic. They're not just subsidizing buildings, they're funding the digital tools you need to make hybrid work. It lowers the barrier to entry.
Exactly. And then you have Madhya Pradesh. Their 2024 GCC policy is also very progressive.
What's their focus?
They're really focused on distributed employment. They offer payroll incentives for hiring remote employees, specifically in the smaller cities.
So they're making it financially attractive to hire outside of the usual hubs.
They are. They actively encourage companies to set up smaller spoke offices or satellite hubs in places like Indore, Bhopal, and Gwalior. They'll even give you tax rebates and simplify compliance.
So the policy is there. But what about a real-world example? Let's make this concrete.
Okay, let's talk about the IBM India Software Labs, or ISL.
A huge operation, over 15,000 engineers.
A massive network. And post-pandemic, they launched a huge hybrid-first initiative.
So this is the blueprint. When a Fortune 500 company like IBM decides to put its most advanced AI center of excellence in, say, Ahmedabad, what's really driving that choice? It's more than just talent.
It's the assurance that the hybrid model gives them, the ability to tack niche skills wherever they are and know it will work at scale.
So what were the results for IBM? The tangible outcomes?
They're pretty remarkable. Today, 40% of their workforce operates in a flexible hybrid way.
Okay.
As you'd expect, real estate costs dropped by about 30%. But here's the interesting part.
Go on.
Employee engagement went up by 20%.
Wow. So that really disproves that whole fear about decentralized teams being disconnected.
It does. And the ultimate proof is in the innovation. IBM filed 2 new AI patents that came directly from hybrid teams working together across Bengaluru and Ahmedabad.
That's the hard evidence. Hybrid isn't a compromise on performance.
When you do it right, it's an innovation accelerator.
Okay, so let's move from that case study to actual strategic planning. In our CoreBridge framework, we've defined 3 structural models for CXOs to think about. The first is the classic hub and spoke.
Right. And you should think of this less like one big HQ and more like a central nervous system. You have a main office in a Tier 1 city for core functions, but it's supported by smaller satellite offices in Tier 2 locations.
What's the trade-off there?
A little more CapEx up front, maybe, but you get much lower attrition and you could access very specific regional skills.
Okay, Model 2 is the pure virtual first GCC.
This is almost entirely remote. Teams connected only through the cloud. It's extremely low cost and very scalable, so it's great for startups or teams that need to grow fast.
But the risk there has to be. What? Culture? Security?
Both. Cultural fragmentation is a real risk, and cybersecurity is a major concern. You have to invest heavily in endpoint security when your entire team is distributed.
Which brings us to the third model, maybe the most agile one, hybrid co-working clusters.
This is about partnering with co-working operators. You get flexible office space, but only when you need it.
It seems like the best of both worlds. Low capital spend, but you still get that physical connection.
Exactly. And it's the perfect model for a CXO who wants to test a new location without a huge financial commitment.
We also have to talk about how this all connects to bigger goals, like ESG and DEI.
It's a natural synergy.
How so?
Well, from an environmental standpoint, less commuting and smaller offices means a smaller carbon footprint. We're talking a 20 to 30% reduction.
And on the social and diversity side.
It aligns perfectly with India's DEI goals. It opens up employment for underrepresented groups, especially women in smaller cities, who really benefit from that flexibility. It's a powerful message to investors.
So this really brings us to that key question for any CXO listening. Are India's Tier 2 cities the next billion-dollar GCC corridors?
The data, the policy, everything suggests this is the future, not just some temporary trend.
So the strategic question becomes, what's the real ROI of building a digital twin in India with all this hybrid flexibility versus the old rigid model you might find somewhere like Eastern Europe?
India's agility. That's the competitive edge.
So let's bring this all together into an actionable takeaway. We see hybrid work as the next big differentiator for India's ecosystem.
And it's backed by hard numbers. Hybrid operations can reduce your total cost of ownership by up to 35%.
While maintaining productivity.
Critically, yes. While maintaining 95% productivity parity with on-site models and tapping into Tier 2 cities expands your talent access by 25%.
But the model is only as good as the people. What does this mean for skills?
It means we need a new skill set.
Mm-hmm.
People need to be fluent in digital communication, self-leadership, remote project management,
And cybersecurity.
and definitely cybersecurity. And India is addressing this through national programs like Skill India Digital. And importantly, there's a big investment in training leaders on how to manage hybrid teams.
So let's end with a projection, a vision for 2030. We're calling it work without walls.
Our analysis shows that by 2030, 50% of all GCCs will have adopted permanent, structured hybrid setups.
And for India specifically.
We project that 25% of India's entire GCC workforce will be operating from Tier 2 or Tier 3 locations. India isn't just adapting to the future of work, it's writing the playbook.
So what does this all mean for you? It means that India's convergence of policy, tech, and culture makes it the most agile and scalable GCC destination in the world.
Hybrid is the architecture of the modern global enterprise, and India is the epicenter of that transformation.
Before we sign off, we want to invite you to explore the CoreBridge curated resources and the policy insights we've linked in the description.
They're designed to help you build your own hybrid blueprint. And we really encourage any CXOs or decision makers to connect with the CoreBridge GCC Desk for a deeper engagement.
We look forward to shaping the next decade of global capability leadership with you. Please follow this show, it really helps. Join us next time on India Inside, the GCC Advantage.
Until then, just a reminder that the insights here are synthesized from public data, industry reports, and our own research. Policy provisions are, of course, always subject to change.
CoreBridge GCC Desk helps multinational enterprises design, establish, and scale hybrid GCC operations